Okay, so the case that I chose to research was Kynitz vs. Scony Nation LLC. Basically, what had happened was the former mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, Paul Soglin, had attempted to have the Mifflin Street Block Party shut down. The mayor had attended the first block party himself when he was a student at the University of Wisconsin in 1969. In 2012, Scotty Nation had sold 54 t shirts at the same block party, in protest, obviously, that showed a picture of Soglin's face and the text, sorry for partying. Um, the photograph of the mayor had been taken by Michael Kynitz and had been downloaded or taken by Scotty from the city's website, which the Kynitz gentleman had actually been allowing them to use without receiving any royalties from them. Scotty had posterized the photograph, turned his face lime green, and placed multicolored writing around it. These are things that we see all the time, on campus and what have you. I mean, it's a common form of expression. The parties involved, Michael Kynitz, he's pictured to the left, outdoors enthusiast, clearly. Up in the top right, we have the actual image that was screen printed or silk printed onto the t-shirts themselves. And down in the bottom right corner, we have the logo for Scotty Nation LLC. Um, they're a very in the know company, and yeah. Excuse my text. That's the only way I could get it to show up. The complaint. So basically, the complaint was that Scotty Nation had taken a copyrighted photo, which was owned by Michael Kynitz, from the city's website without any permission from the owner. Scotty Nation had received a very small profit from the sales of these T-shirts, and while they did attribute, that they had taken this photograph from the city's website, they didn't, pay him any kind of royalties or any type of licensing to the owner himself, Mr. Kynitz. I was reading into this. I think that Kynitz may have had, a personal relationship with the then mayor Soglin at the time. I think this was kind of a way for them to try to get the company from ceasing their actions, from not publicly displaying this image because it had looked, bad on the mayor himself. And I think they're trying to go about it in a legal way, this way. The court's decision. The court had decided the Scotty Nation had, in fact, fallen under the fair use guidelines in this situation. They didn't see any potential damage to the market for the owner, Michael Kynitz, and they would not weigh in on the potential damages to the political statement that was made, when they were deciding the case between Scotty Nation LLC and Michael Kynitz. Kynitz did have a couple things to say, such as, his clients. He promises his clients that these images will only be used in a tasteful manner, and he had stated that, this is breaching that commitment to his clients that their pictures wouldn't be used in any other form. So that's kind of the argument he was making in the situation. Fair use checklist. So for the fair use checklist, under purpose, the only favorable box I would check would be that the work is in fact transformative. I mean, they completely changed it. It looks almost like a totally different picture. The court actually also stated that the only really remaining portion of the photo was his smile and the outline of his head, which neither of those two things can actually be copyrighted. Opposing the fair use, I would check that it was commercial activity. They did profit from the sales, and I would say this very well could constitute bad faith behavior. I mean, depending on how you're kind of looking at it, I mean, it does portray the mayor in a bad light. They did not deny the original author, however, they were very forthcoming, saying, yes, we did download this photo, and this is the photo we used, and this is where we got it from. Under nature, I wouldn't check any of the boxes, as I don't really feel like they apply in this case. The amount of work used, I would check 2 boxes favoring fair use. They used a very small portion of the original photo, and it was not central to the overall work itself or the original photo. It wasn't, they had removed the background. They had removed any details from the face. I mean, the image that they had originally used was so low quality that you could barely make any of those details out to begin with. I would check neither boxes under opposing in that. Under the effect portion, I would say no significant effect on the market or potential market for the copyrighted work. I would also check no similar product marketed by the copyright holder. Under opposing, I would check you made it accessible on the web or in other public forum, because it was brought up during the case that Scani had made their image available online, free for download. They weren't profiting from those downloads, but it was in fact available, which the checklist didn't really specify there. I would agree with the court's ruling on the case. I too believe that there's no harm done to the owner of the photograph, and I would say it doesn't disrupt the market by any means. I mean, people who are going to get someone to do a photography shoot are probably not, buying these same t-shirts. I don't think that those two groups or, those two audiences really collide in any way. I think that they are all good on that. How is this case important to freedom of speech and or freedom of expression? I mean, I would say that this is huge in both of those aspects. I mean, when people protest or when there's rallies or what have you, I mean, t-shirts are handed out, t-shirts are sold, with images like portraying a message. And a lot of times, we see people with a political message on their t-shirt utilizing a photograph of someone else or, verbiage or what have you by someone else, quotations. I mean, it's just a very common form of expression. And I think that had this case been decided in the other way, that would really inhibit our ability to express ourselves in that way. As they say, fashion is a form of expression. I think this case was really important considering the fact that, it was a company helping people express a political message. Being that we're all students here, we all are very in the know on current events and what have you. I mean, we know how important it is to be able to express yourself freely, as long as it's not, intentionally causing some type of undue harm, I would say. I can also think of a lot of punk rock bands who have used the faces of past presidents and other moral wrongdoers as a message on their logos. And those are typically printed out on t-shirts and sold to the public, and it's just a very common thing that is done. So that's my case. Here are my citations, and thank you all for watching and listening.